Welcome to Professor Game Podcast, where we interview successful practitioners of games, gamification, and game thinking who brings the best of their experiences to get ideas, insights, and inspiration that help us in the process of getting the students to learn what we teach. And I'm Rob Alvarez. I teach and work at IE Business School in Madrid, where we create interactive and engaging learning materials. Want to know more? Go to professorgame.com/subscribe, start on our email list, and ask me anything. Wow, Professor Game is now officially 1 year old. I'm delighted to say that we have fulfilled this promise of one episode every single week for a whole year. And wow, isn't that exciting? We've been meeting amazing people, interviewing incredible experts in gamification, learning from them every single week. And today, of course, we will have a special episode. We will have things like messages and tips from past guests. I'll have something special for the engagers. I'll give you some updates, some reflections, and this won't necessarily happen in the order that I just mentioned because this is going to be a bit more of a free flow. We're going to be talking about a few things and learning some of the stuff, which of course is what we enjoy the most, is learning new things and getting stuff to be able to apply tomorrow into our classes, into our training, into our professional lives. Actually, let's start with the reflections. This is a time, I know it's almost the end of the year and it's typical that you say, well, in 2019, I'm going to do this and that. But for me, since we're making it a year here in Professor Game, I think it's a great time, not just for me to reflect, but for all of us to reflect. What has happened in this last year? What have you learned from Professor Game? For me, I have learned many things from all these experts. There's things that are probably going to be implemented in my daily practice right now. For example, I am planning an escape room for my students. I'm still figuring out the details. I do have some time left to finish it up, but I will tell you the results. I will let you know once it's done. Anything I can show you, any pictures. Remember, I am on social media. I'm on Instagram at RobAlvarezB. Also on Twitter, I'll be showing pictures. I'm constantly sharing content there to let you guys know, guys and gals, what I'm doing. But in general, I would like to know from your side, what has changed? How have you improved your practice in this last year? Has Professor Game helped you change anything that you were doing previously before in your training and your teaching and your classroom? How have we been able to support you in that sense? And that's something I wanted to ask you, if we have helped you in any way, and if there's anything else that you think that Professor Game can do for you. So again, as I said at the beginning, you can just contact us through our email list. You can just go to professorgame.com/subscribe and let us know. Also on social media, all the channels that I mentioned before. We're also on Facebook. We're everywhere, but those two are probably some of the most active of our channels. I would really like to know, what have you learned? What have been your lessons? How has Professor Game as a podcast helped you improve in anything that you've done, or helped you realize something that you were doing before and you want to do different now? As I've said from episode 0, this show is not about what I've learned and what I've done, and it's not even about my learnings and my stuff. That's why I don't want to focus this section on you, but just a few lessons that I've gotten. As I said, one of them is the escape room that I'm going to try with my students. And every time that I'm confronting a situation now, I am able to put on my gamification lens and analyze what's the motivation behind the things that are going on. I'm able to put myself in my players' shoes, and that could be my students, that could be people I'm helping out in any way. Those are things that have changed my perception of the world. This is something that I was already doing before, but all of the tools that I've received from around 50 already guests that we've had, there are many things that I've been able to implement, that I've been able to use, starting from episode 1 when we had the fantastic Yukai Chow from the Octaluses, Dave Rage, better known as Andrzej Marchewski, his Hexad. Even though I've read both of their books before, getting in touch with them and listening to these things firsthand is something that has changed my experience as well. And there's always these small tips and tactics that they're able to share with us in every episode. And also learning from people who might not be big names, but who are doing fantastic things in the gamification world, especially those who are doing stuff in education, in training, we've had some fantastic guests. You can look back on if you haven't listened to every episode, which is not an easy one, I must say. This is episode number 54, so you probably have quite a few to look back on if you're getting started with this episode. And I'd love to listen to your perspective on that as well. So again, those are some of my reflections, some of the things that I've learned throughout this year, some of the perspectives that I've gotten that have changed the way that I do my practice in gamification with my students and with the people that we talk to, even with the clients that we have at IE Business School. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is a bit more personal in a sense of what has this year been changing throughout my life. Maybe not too much has changed. Of course, Professor Game has become a central part of my life now, something that before was not even around. But also, I feel that I have my network has become amazing in the gamification world. I can even say I have a bunch of new friends from all of these fantastic guests that we've had, and this has been a wild ride that I'm very willing to continue doing, and it's something that has had me very exciting. And also some other new opportunities have come up. As I mentioned before, I've started teaching as well at the business school. And I've been teaching things like quantitative methods. I've been teaching gamification as well. This has been a very exciting time for me as well in the teaching sense. And since the podcast started, I have been speaking at several conferences like Gamification Europe. Recently came back from Chicago from GameCon, where organized by Sententia Gamification. Gamification Europe is once again coming up, and that's also something new that we're doing. As you've probably heard in other episodes, we are the first media sponsor of Gamification Europe. You know, there's opportunities for those who want to go to Amsterdam this 26th and 27th of November in 2018, in case you're listening to this in some other year or after the case. So this is something new as well. Something perhaps a bit more funny is now I have the Super NES Mini, and that's also brought many ideas to my practice. It's not just about listening to these amazing experts, but it's also getting inspiration. And what I do have learned from these years of experience as well in gamification world is that you can get inspiration from many places. And this very classic console that I played a lot during my younger times, it has brought me new inspiration and new ideas. Also, of course, there's been many exciting projects that have been coming up thanks to the exposure that Professor Game has. And I have to say this year has been crazy busy. There's many things going on. There's things that I have wanted to do and haven't had the chance to do them, but I'm extremely happy to be busy with all of these things that keep me excited every single day. Now we're going to get into the special messages from our past guests, and we would like to start with Andrzej Marchewski. He is, as you know, the author of Even Ninja Monkeys Like to Play. He has an amazing blog of Gamified UK. He has done many amazing things, and he's one of the top leaders in the gamification world. And I have to say that I have met him quite a few times before in Gamification World Congress and Gamification Europe. We'll see each other again in Amsterdam this year. We have seen each other several times. I'd like to consider us being closer at least than most people. I have to say that his superpower is breaking complicated things into simpler things. His episode is episode 30, and if you haven't listened to it, I really invite you to go directly into that. So here you go. Andrzej.
Hey Rob, Andrzej, Dave Rage, Ninja Monkey Marchewski here. Congratulations on 1 year of the podcast. And thank you for having me as your 30th guest, I believe it was. Looking forward to doing more in the future with you. Listen, the podcast is a really great thing for you to be doing because it's something that the industry needs desperately. An honest voice trying to get us all to speak about what it is we do on a day-to-day basis. It's one of the best ways for us to grow as an industry. So keep up the good work. Now then, you asked for a 30-second tip. My 30-second tip to your listeners is gamification is just one solution in an arsenal of many solutions. So don't get bogged down by the definitions, by what it is, what it isn't. Get bogged down by the details of what your client actually needs. And if gamification or serious games or real games is what it is, then do it. If it's not, don't try and shoehorn the solution to fit the problem. Find a real solution for the actual problem. Okay, dude, keep up the good work and I'll speak to you soon.
Next, we have Zach Fitzwalter from Australia. He was episode number 24, and his episode was talking about many things, amongst them an app that he was developing at the moment for driving more safely. And that was a very interesting conversation that you might want to get into. We haven't met personally, but we will again in Amsterdam in Gamification Europe. And his superpower is having his research background, since of course he is a PhD. So let's listen now to Zach.
Hi, Dr. Zach Fitzwalter here, aka the Gamification Geek. You may remember me from such Professor Game podcast episodes, including episode 24, where we discussed gamification and mobile apps, and the very special anniversary episode that you're listening to right now. I have to say I really enjoyed discussing gamification for driver education in my episode, as well as talking about Dungeons and Dragons and mobile apps. Congratulations to the Professor Game podcast for an excellent first year. It's truly exciting to see a podcast in this area with over 50 episodes already in 1 year. Surely that's got to unlock some kind of achievement. Now, my tip for gamification design is to start small, create something simple, and test it out as soon as possible with your target audience. That way you get feedback early on and make your gamification design even better.
Now we will listen to Eric Van Mechelen from the Octalysis group. I don't remember that we have met in person, but his superpower is to find counter arguments to almost any idea. So that's a pretty interesting superpower. Let's listen now to Eric.
Hey Rob, this is Eric. Congratulations on the anniversary of Professor Game. I can't believe it's already 1 year. I met Rob, for those of you engagers out there who don't know, in the Octalysis Prime community, where he contributed so much and decided to start the podcast. And what I've learned from him is that it's important to be enthusiastic about what we're doing, because that's what can get you up in the morning and through the day. But something that I learned in terms of a 30-second tip from publishing my second novel after 4 years of writing was that it's important to let go. It's important to have a negative outcome in mind to avoid, and also to continue reaching for the ideal. Thanks again, Rob. Take care. Cheers.
This is a much more recent guest in Professor Game. It's Bart Hufen, and he is episode number 48. We haven't met in person, but again, he is Dutch, or at least he's living in the Netherlands, and we will be meeting in Gamification Europe very, very soon. So take it away, Bart. We're listening to you and your superpower of being a generalist.
Hello, fellow gamers and engagers. This is a special message to celebrate Professor Game's 1 year anniversary with a golden tip. If you want to become a successful practitioner as well, don't be afraid to experiment, test and improve your product continuously, because we all fail, and that is in fact your first attempt in learning. This message was brought to you by Bart Hufen, gamification expert.
We will now listen to Candice Best. She is an amazing person whose superpower is definitely to have created the Game Design for Student Success framework. It is amazing. You can listen to many, many interesting things from her. But instead of me telling you all of these things, she is episode 29. You can go ahead and listen to that episode. And of course, you can listen to her right now and her recommendations and her look into the future.
Hi, this is Candice Best, host of the Genius Cafe podcast. And I'm here to wish a heartfelt congratulations to the Professor Game podcast on their first year. My one tip for your listeners is to find the one thing that you're passionate about and make that your priority for the next year. It's really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day responsibilities that we have and lose sight of the things that make us most excited, or to think that that's something we have to save for after work or when we have more time. But it's bringing passion and excitement into your work that gives you more time. It gives you more fuel to keep going. And I often find myself forgetting that. But when I take a deep breath and I reconnect with the things that made me excited about education and about applying gaming to education in the first place, I find that all of a sudden I have an endless amount of time to get things done, and I have a lot more energy in doing it.
Next in line is Dave Ang, whom I also have to thank for his message. He is a game-based learning expert. He has a bunch of tabletop games, card games. He has a huge IKEA library that he told us about in his interview, which is number 44. And he has a special superpower, and it is about alignment, about those learning objectives, the game objectives, and how to put all those things together and make them work for you in your classroom and in your learning. So take it away, Dave. Oh, by the way, we haven't never met, and it would be my pleasure to be able to meet you as well, Dave.
Hey, happy 1-year anniversary to Rob and Professor Game. So an update from me is that I have kept on playing Azul, which is one of my very favorite tabletop games, although I am a little bit annoyed that I still have so many unopened tabletop games on my bookshelves right now. But I've kept playing Azul. The funny part is that I keep on losing. But that lesson is there, that despite me losing, I keep wanting to play the game because I feel that it is very fun. My top tip is to remember that games are a great way to have people learn, but don't ignore different and other ways that we can learn as well. That can be through stories and narratives, play, or just puzzles. Games are one of those great tools that we can use, but remember that it is a tool and there are other tools out there. Again, this is Dave Eng celebrating Rob and 1-year anniversary at Professor Game. Thanks. Bye.
Now we have John Cassie, who had a couple of episodes, actually. He did it together with Tracy Wazinegger because they have their own podcast, Game Level Learn, and they were episodes 39 and 40. His superpower is to be willing to risk, to put himself out there and to do things. He is actually something that he enjoys. So, John, what do you have for us?
Hey Rob, John Cassie here from Game Level Learn. So excited to have spent not just one, but 2 episodes with you earlier in the year on Professor Game. You're doing great work, talking to really interesting people. I'm sure the engagers are getting a lot out of it. I look forward to seeing what the second year looks like, who you get on the show, the topics you discuss, and the ways in which you're going to expand our learning and the way you're going to keep growing this community. Looking forward to the next time to be on the show, Rob. Congratulations.
And we have Altu Yilmaz. He is the gamification guy in Turkey. And it's interesting because his superpower is to get people excited about gamification. We met in Gamification Europe last year, and I believe we will see each other again this year in Amsterdam. If you want to listen to him and get excited with his superpower of getting people excited with gamification, it is episode 19. What do you have to say for this anniversary episode, Altu?
Hello, Rob. Yeah, I can't believe that it's already 1 year. Just I want to congratulate you to how you sustain this episode going on, and I congratulate you. It's very important to do something for not one shot like you did with a sustained way, and I hope it will be continue with another approach, because gamification is very a parallel approach, and we focus on the loops. That's the key, I think, the iteration. Start with small, start with only one mechanic, or even without mechanics, just announcement. And I'm looking forward to hear the other professionals from their profession to approach to gamification. I really love to, for example, one game designer or one user experience designer or training expert to approach the gamification. It's always changing and it's always very feeding me. Thanks, Rob. Hopefully we will see each other in Gamification Europe. Man, I am following you. Thank you very much.
Now we will listen to David Mullick, whose superpower is to identify the core loop of an experience and make it more engaging. He has a lot of experience in game design, which he is also now applying to gamification design, and he's been teaching both of these for quite a while. He's a very interesting character. He's episode 26. And we haven't met in person. It's something I would certainly look forward to as well as all of the other guests I still haven't met. So what is it today, David?
Hi, Rob. Congratulations on the first anniversary of the Professor Game podcast. We had a fun conversation about how I've been applying my game design experience to academia and business, And I just want to remind all of your engagers out there that there's no shame in trying to make even the most mundane task more engaging. We only have one turn at life, and we might as well make it a fun one. So thanks for all you've been doing and getting the word out that it's okay to make life a game.
And Valerie, she is quite a character. We just met at GameCon in Chicago. You'll probably be contagious by her energy. Her superpower, of course, is to inspire curiosity. So you'll probably get a lot more curious about what does gamification mean for you. For example, she is episode number 47, and let's see what she has to say for this episode.
Hi, Rob. It's Valerie. I just wanted to take a minute to wish you congratulations on 1 full year of the Professor Game podcast. It's been an amazing adventure you've taken all of the engagers on, and I'm just thrilled that I was both a listener and got a chance to be a guest on an episode of the podcast. And I'm pretty sure that I win the award for most giggles in one episode. But that's just because this has just been such an amazing experience. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the hard work you're putting into this. So my final tip, if I can sneak one more in before the end of the year, is just to have all of the engagers go back, listen to some of the old episodes if they missed any of them, or even re-listen to some of them they listened to. Try out some of the suggestions that you heard and let people know what worked and what didn't work for you. Because it's really in continuing to try new things that we're going to find what works best for each of our individual learner groups. So get out there, try some stuff, and share what you learn, because that's how we all are going to do better at this as we go along. So thanks again, Rob, all the hard work you've put in, and congratulations on 1 year of Professor Game. I can't wait to see where you take us in years 2 and beyond.
And now for Scott Renke. He was actually the second guest. So I'm very excited to have him back today and listen to what he has to say about how he has been evolving, what's been going on in his world. We know he's in the university space. He won a couple of years ago the award for the best educational gamification project. So take it away, Scott. What do you have to say?
Hey, Rob. How's it going? I can't believe it's already been a full year since Professor Game started. You have like 50 episodes out there on iTunes. That's really crazy. Great job on that, man. The main thing that I want to say is just thank you for allowing me to be a part of it, because I think what you're doing with Professor Game is really important, because it gives game designers outside of the traditional games industry a chance to tell their story and show the impact that a gameful design approach can have on pretty much any product, process, or service. For all the engagers out there, I think the best advice that I could give is just to try to be mindful and aware of the game design choices that are made in the games that you're playing. You know, just like you would analyze a book in an English class or analyze a film in a film studies class, you should be doing the same things with your games and really try to find out why some of the decisions were made, how the game designer expected their players to learn and fail, and all kinds of things like that. So, yeah, basically just play more games and think about it while you're playing them. Thanks.
It is time now for Vasilis Gogidis, one of the organizers of Gamification Europe, both in 2017 and 2018. He had a couple of episodes. He was actually episode 13, so the lucky number, and episode 46. And the first one, we had the traditional interview where he told us that his superpower is he is able to teach very well, especially gamification and Lego series play, as we've seen throughout the time. And in episode 46, of course, we are talking about what should we expect and what is exciting about Gamification Europe 2018 in Amsterdam. So, well, and of course, we've met before in Brighton in Gamification Europe 2018. So what is it you have for us today, Vasilis?
Hello, engagers. This is Vasilis Gogidis. I'm so happy Professor Game is turning 1 year old. First of all, I want to thank Rob for inviting me to do 2 amazing interviews with him. I had so much fun talking to Rob and discussing gamification. Professor Game is an amazing source of information on gamification and gameful design. I have learned so much from the amazing people that Rob interviews. listening to his podcast. I want to encourage everyone to keep reading and studying gamification and game design. It's amazing how much information is out there nowadays, and I am very excited every day to learn something new. Hope I will be recording a similar message next year for Professor Game's second birthday. Happy birthday.
We will now listen from Manuel Pimenta, who is one of the people I first met in person when I was going into the gamification world. We were sort of conference buddies in Gamification World Congress in 2016 here in Madrid. Manuel was episode number 18. We also met later in Lisbon, his hometown. He is an amazing person. We have had so much fun together, especially given his superpower, which is to transmit his enthusiasm for gamification. So, Manuel, what do you have to say?
Hi, I'm Manuel Pimenta, and I was interviewed for Professor Game by Rob. And we had really, really great time. He's a really fun guy, really welcoming, which is not that usual in interviewers. Fun thing about that episode is that I tried to get ready for what possible questions might arrive. And I got really careful to speak about what I was doing currently, but I really got lost talking about what I did in my previous employer. And my colleagues were all like, couldn't you have talked a bit more about us, about what we're doing? So that was a fun thing. And about a quick gamification tip, really try and play games. I think it was Mario Herger that said it's our duty as gamification designers to play a lot and do our own kind of research, which is playing. The helpful thing is we tend to rely on points and badges and leaderboards a lot. And if you look at games, there are not that many games that use it. So we should really play more and really feel the mechanics ourselves, so we are then able to think of them when we're designing for our customers and not rely on the usual tropes.
Now we have Bernardo. Bernardo and I also met, just like Manuel Pimenta, in Gamification World Congress 2016 in Madrid. The three of us, we were hanging out quite a bit during the conference. We had a very good time. I also met him again then in Gamification Europe in Brighton. I visited him in Mexico City due to my work. We hanged out a while as well. And I would like to say that I can call Bernardo certainly a good friend. He has been very kind to help me with things. I have been helping him with what I can as well. He is a very, very nice guy. He's extremely energetic, and his superpower is his ability to balance systems. Also, if you want to check him out, he is episode number 11, where he is also the winner of the Gamification Software of the Year. So, Bernardo, take it away.
Hey guys, it's been a year since I talked with Professor Game. One of the ideas that have evolved since then is how or when to apply game thinking to a challenge. And what happened to me is that no matter how much I know about something, no matter what challenge I just overcame, the next one will always be more difficult. So my game thinking application has changed. Now I apply it to my learning process the whole time. I always think that every single thing I learn will help me level up a little bit more, so that I prepare myself for the next challenge. You never know what's going to come next, and you will have to do some research and investigate more. But as long as you don't stop training, you will always become a much better player.
Now we have another one of the big gurus in the gamification space, and especially in the learning gamification, and it's Monica Cornetti, whose superpower is her psychology background, because she understands that people don't always do what you expect from them. So Monica has been a 2 times guest. She was episode 8, our first interview, and then she came back in episode 42 when she was talking about GameCon, which we went to in Chicago and enjoyed it very, very much. Monica also has a fantastic podcast called Gamification Talk Radio, which I invite you as well to take a listen at. And, well, without further ado, here is with you, Monica Cornetti, with her message to the engagers.
Hey, Rob Alvarez. This is Monica Cornetti. Congratulations on your first year of Professor Game, your podcast. How exciting that you already have 1 year in, and you've just done such an awesome job of securing special guests who have such interesting and diverse perceptions and insights and experience and ideas about gamification and its application. So I just wanted to say congratulations on that. And I was thinking about gamification design yesterday because I was talking to a prospective client. And one of the things that they were talking about was changing processes in their organization. And they said the culture of the organization is to have firefighters and heroes, and they want to turn that more into processes and analytics, which of course is smarter business to make sure we have processes and we're measuring. But the challenge is there's no fun in processes and analytics, and there's great fun in being a firefighter or a hero. And so even as we're adding gamification to make sure that processes do run more smoothly, that's one of the great things that we can do with strategic design and putting gamification in there in a smart manner, is to make sure that people still have that nice dopamine rush of yes and achievement and I am a hero and I am learning and I am moving towards mastery. So that was just my thought on gamification for the day, and I'm just wishing you all the best, Rob. Love you, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
And last but most definitely not least, we have Carl Kapp. His superpower is when creating gamification is to use an evidence-based approach, as you will be able to see from his books. He is episode 25. He has done amazing work. He works at a university, so he's a professor. He is also very much into the learning space like we are. So he is a very, very interesting person to listen to. I invite you as well to go back and listen to his episode 25. And of course, he has a message and a tip for you, the Engagers.
Happy anniversary to Professor Game and the Engagers. I had a great time participating in the Professor Game podcast. I'd been aware of the podcast for a while and was really excited to be part of the first year of guests. The conversation was a lot of fun, and I talked about what seemed to be one of my favorite subjects. And no, it's not gamification or game-based learning. It actually turned out to be zombies. Our conversation moved toward how I was creating an online video game for sales training centered around zombies. And it wasn't going so well, and I had hoped that the project would do better. And through the course of the project, we actually changed it from a video game to a card game called, Zombie Sales Apocalypse. So it was really fun reliving that project. And that's the great thing I like about conversations with Rob. The twists and the turns and the unexpected alleys of inquiry. Those are really what makes the podcast interesting and fun to both listen to and participate. My 30-second tip is to play games that you don't like. Yes, it might seem strange, but I think a great deal can be learned by playing games that you don't enjoy. When you do that, pay attention to how they make you feel, what aspects you don't like, and how the elements work together to take away your pleasure. Those insights will make you a better learning game designer and gamification designer. So play games that you don't like, and then when you're done, if you want, go play some games that you do like.
Wow, it's been a wild ride with all of these past guests giving us a message for each one of us, of the Engagers, of this phenomenal group that we've been growing for this past year. And I want to give special thanks to each one of those who took a bit more of their time and sent us a message. So thank you, Anjay, Zach, Eric, Bart, Candice, Dave, John, Altu, David, Scott, Vasilis, Manuel, Bernardo, Monica, and Carl. And of course, I would never leave behind all of the other guests who have also participated during this first year of the podcast. So in order of the interviews, that would be Yukai, Pete, Ann Coppin, Sylvester Arnab, Yared, Tony, Sabrina, Scott Hebert, Marigo, Ahmed, Michiel, Juliette Denny, Jeff Gomez, Horst, Michael Wu, Amy Jo Kim, Jonathan Peters, Michael Sutton, Roman, Richard Bartle, Gustavo, John Meehan, Toby, Dutch, Tracy, Eliza, Melinda, Leonard, Chuck, Samantha, JD, Karen, and Chris Avilis, who was our last guest. the previous week. Now arriving to the end of this episode, and certainly last but not least, if you've been listening to Professor Game and you say, well, I've also been doing some of these things before, I have some experience I'd like to show off, you might want to be a guest in Professor Game. And if that's the case, all you have to do is go to professorgame.com/beourguest, a single word, be our guest, BEOURGUEST, be our guest. Fill in the form and let us know what's the things that you would like to talk about in Professor Game. What's your abilities? What have you been doing before? And there you'll have very, very good chances of getting picked if you go for that form and let us know that you're interested in it. I would really like to be listening more from you, from the engagers. And as I promised at the beginning of this episode, there is something special that we are going to be giving away exclusively to the engagers, and that's going to come through our email list. So if you want to know what are the opportunities, the things, the giveaways, or whatever it is that we decide to give to you on this anniversary week and anniversary month of Professor Game, all you have to do is go to professorgame.com/subscribe. There you will be able to subscribe to our email list, see and receive all of our updates, be in contact with me personally, and there you will also get that special opportunity that we will give to the engagers during this anniversary week, anniversary month, and during this first year of Professor Game, which we hope goes on into the future, into many more years. So please join me in being very happy about this anniversary. I do hope that you're also happy about this because you're happy about the fact that this will continue to move on. It's been an amazing ride. I've seen the community growing every single day, every single week. I can see that there's more people joining our community, and that's something that has me extremely happy. I have to confess, I didn't start the podcast thinking that there would be many people. In fact, I didn't think too much about how many people would be there, and I did that intentionally because my main objective was, as I've said before, to talk to amazing guests, as I've been doing. But seeing the community rising, seeing you guys come in, listening to you guys and reading what you're seeing, what you're thinking, what you're reflecting, it's been definitely a shot of adrenaline, and it's been helping me keep up with all the work that this means, and I'm sure it will continue to be a great fuel for continuing this work in the future. So again, thank you very much. You have become the main reason for me to be here, for me to come and show up every single week and to talk to these amazing guests and to bring the best of them so that you can have your own reflections, can have your own time with what you've been listening, and you are able to apply it tomorrow. So let me know if there's anything else that we can help you with. Please contact me through our subscription to the email list, and let me know again if there's any future guests, if there's any questions. If you want to be a guest, please contact me and let me know what else we would be able to do for you. If you've been enjoying this year, what we would enjoy that you haven't had. So let's look into the future and see how we can make Professor Game amazing and this community continue to grow so that we make education amazing through gamification.